The Northern Miner is visiting Endeavour Silver at their Vancouver head office. The company recently declared commercial production at their Terronera Mine in Mexico. I'm here to talk to Dan Dickson, the CEO, to learn more about it. Let's go find him.
Easy trip in?
Yes, it was good. Thanks. How about yourself?
Can't complain.
Any hit music tracks that you've been listening to?
I've been listening a little bit of Zach Bryant, and my wife's got me listening to Taylor Swift right now, so.
Go into our interview location.
Very good, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for welcoming me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming.
Right. So the company has been operating now 20 years in Mexico. It recently declared commercial production at Terronera, its latest mine that you've built. Yeah. What capabilities, if any, have you changed to the culture at Endeavour to make sure that this mine build works from day one?
Yeah, you know what? Ultimately, I don't think our capabilities have particularly changed of how we're going to operate. And over the last couple of years, obviously, we've brought in engineering and construction expertise into our company to be able to deliver Terronera. But Terronera in itself is very similar to Guanaceví and Bolañitos. Underground epithermal vein system. And the values that we've operated as are the same values we want to bring to Terronera. I think what's made Endeavour special in Mexico is the ability to operate with a social license besides small towns where we operate Guanaceví and Bolañitos. We brought that same value system to Terronera, helped us get through the permitting phase from 2013 to ultimately 2025. It's been a long track. But I think we continue to do what we've always done, and that's deliver on our production profile and ultimately work with one another to kind of keep bringing the company forward.
Mm-hmm. So if a new hire was to shadow you for a week, what would you say, what would some of the recurring touch points about your management style perhaps be that might be surprising?
Yeah, and first off, I think they'd be very unimpressed during that week. It's not that glamorous, so to speak. I spend a lot of time on the phone talking to various groups and departments, but ultimately I think what people would be surprised they see, and it stems back to when they made me as CFO at 27 years old, is ultimately I like to work with people. I don't want people working for me. So kind of take that mindset that we all work together and we're all pulling on the same rope to kind of get to where we want to go. And I think they would find that probably the most surprising thing is that I try to roll up my sleeves and try to do what the next guy beside me is doing. I think we do a good job as a management team, not just me, but the team that we've had here that have been here for a long time. The way we treat each other, the way we respect, and ultimately comes down to the values that I talked about and even our safety program. It's called Tequido, which is I care for you, where you're looking out for the person beside you to make sure that they're operating in a safe manner. And we want to take that, and I really do believe like if we do that through the organization, you get that waterfall effect. If you care for the person that's working for you, ultimately that person's going to care for the person that works beside them or for them, so to speak.
All right, so let's talk about Endeavour's Silver First principle. Where does that show up really in your mine planning, your marketing, and your social engagements?
Yeah, I mean, Endeavour Silver, we're a primary silver producer. Ultimately, mine planning, relationships, that's not where it shows up. Where it shows up is what type of properties we're looking for. So from an exploration standpoint, properties that we're looking to acquire, we're looking for it to be predominantly silver. So our mandate is to be a senior silver producer, and 60% of our revenue comes from silver right now. So any projects that we're looking at, we're looking for silver as a predominant metal from a revenue stream in that project. Ultimately, once you have that mine and once you have that resource, the mine planning, the relationships with customers, for us, we sell a commodity, but we do work with traders because we send out our concentrate out to smelters. That comes in, but I don't think that's any different from a gold company, ultimately copper company. There's scale differences, there's little things that you do differently in plants. But ultimately, the strategic idea that we want to be a silver company starts at the top and starts at the properties that we're looking at and that we look to acquire or ultimately build out.
Can you name an example of where this silver first thinking is influencing your decision making?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously other primary silver companies out there. The leader in our field's Pan American Silver. They started back in the 90s and have grown. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to see it, right now the primary silver industry is very small. It's very difficult to find primary silver mines. They're actually quite small when it comes to scale. So on public exchanges, you have maybe 5 or 6 senior silver producers, and in the mid-tier space, it's less than that. Mm-hmm. And then you have a whole bunch of juniors trying to come into the market. So whether it was, I'm sure there was companies before Pan American Silver that are focused just on silver, but ultimately, I don't think it's a big jump to be, hey, we're a silver producer, we're a gold producer, we're a copper producer. Our shareholders are looking for silver, and that's why they've invested in us. So their first hypothesis for Endeavour Silver to invest in us is, I think silver is going higher. If you think silver is going lower, it doesn't make sense to invest in a silver company.
Mm. But you recently also acquired a new project. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, in May of this year, we acquired Minera Kolpa. It's our first foray outside of Mexico from an operating standpoint. We do have properties in Nevada, we have properties down in Chile, but we bought Minera Kolpa, which is in Peru. It's an existing asset. The private holders that held it prior to our acquisition had it from 2016 all the way till now. They grew it from a 600 ton per day producer to a 2,000 ton per day producer. Kolpa for us will produce 5 million silver equivalent ounces. Now 40% of that silver. So as I say, it's very difficult to find primary silver mines. Kolpa in itself is 40% silver. And if you look across our peers, that's kind of down the ballpark. We're 60% at Terronera, we're 90% at Guanaceví. So 40% is a little bit lower. But Peru is the 3rd largest district in the world at producing silver. It made nothing but sense for an evolution of us as Endeavour to go to Peru and hopefully use that as a platform for further growth down there.
Okay, so please help place Terronera for our viewers. How does it fit into the portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, Terronera for us is a game changer. When we announced construction back in April 2023, we saw it as an asset that was going to double our production, but most importantly, cut our cost profile in half. The characteristics of Terronera allow for it to be a very low cost producer. It's 5.5 meters thick over the 10-year reserve life that we have there. We've already defined a 10-year reserve life. We expect to be there 15, 20, 25 years. Obviously very rich in silver and gold. So the gold will pay for the cost of sales, will pay for sustaining capital and exploration. So effectively the silver comes for free. From a cash flow standpoint, at today's prices, you're anywhere between $100 million to $200 million of free cash flow, just depending on the year. So completely changes us, where we built the company with assets that I now call mature assets. It means short mine lives, high costs. But when we went in and acquired Guanaceví, Bolañitos, we did it for very cheap. Fully built, fully permanent mines that were running out of ore and underexplored. Obviously, Terronera, we made that discovery ourselves and we built a mine from scratch. So completely changes us. Ultimately, cash flows are going to significantly jump, and we're very excited about what Terronera does for us as a company.
And then you also made another discovery, Pitarrilla. How does that bolt on to the story?
Yeah, I mean, it's also in Mexico. We actually didn't make that discovery. We acquired Pitarrilla in 2022. It was Silver Standard, which became SSR. They made the discovery in 2002 in Mexico, a couple hours from our Guanaceví operation. A lot of people are familiar with Pitarrilla as an open pit because in 2012 they put out a feasibility study on that project, 600 million ounces of silver plus zinc plus lead. Rewind to 2009 when silver was just $11, they actually put out a pre-feasibility study on an underground operation. As we've touched on, Guanaceví, Bolañitos, Terronera, they're all underground mines. That's our expertise. So we've been looking at Pitarrilla as an underground operation similar to that 09 PFS. We have a plan to have a feasibility study out by mid-2026 to ultimately make a construction decision there. Obviously, with where prices are today, it's a pretty easy case to see a construction decision being likely. We have to get through all those studies, but we already have permits for an underground mine. We have permits for a plant. We're working on permits for the tailings facility. Once we have that in hand, and hopefully our feasibility study is done, we can kind of move forward with that. And our goal is to become a 30 million silver ounce producer, which really is a senior silver producer. So now we're saying if we can have Pitarrilla in production by 2030, we'd have 30 million. So 30 by 30 is our goal. 30 million silver equivalent ounces by 2030.
Right, yeah. And then where would you like to see the company in the next 12 months to 5 years?
Yeah, I think the most important part in the next 12 months is delivery on Terronera. So now that we've come through and declared commercial production, I think the market and us as management want to make sure that we're hitting our tons, our grades, and our recoveries. That's the statistics around the mine that we expect. With that, and after that then hopefully the next 6-month period of hitting all those marks, it's making sure our cost profile lines up to what our expectations are from the feasibility study, and then ultimately, not even necessarily the feasibility study. We've had a big inflationary period since 2021. But ultimately hits cost points on a cost per ton basis. So we're delivering the cash flow that we expect as management, and then ultimately our shareholders expect. That's the first most important thing over the next 12 months. And then secondly, it's what's behind Terronera. And if Terronera is hitting all its marks, it's going to come down to Pitarrilla and what Pitarrilla is going to do for us. As I say, our goal is 30 million silver equivalent ounces by 2030. So 30 by 30. If we can deliver a feasibility study by mid-2026, get into a construction decision for Pitarrilla, I think that would be very favorable for us and our shareholders.
Excellent. Well, there we have it. That was Dan Dickson, CEO of Endeavour Silver. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, there you heard it from Endeavour Silver's CEO, Dan Dickson. The company is ramping up production, aiming to achieve about 30,000 ounces of silver production by 2030 from its Terronera project and other projects in the pipeline. Thank you for watching Mike Tap. For the Northern Miner, I am Henry Lazenby, the Western editor.